Welcome. The archive is now open. Tonight, from our restricted collection, we are unsealing 8 case files documenting the unexplained phenomena of the Appalachian Mountains. The accounts you are about to hear are not fiction. They have been meticulously sourced from official search and rescue incident reports, recovered field journals, and classified law enforcement evidence logs, and preserved within this archive for professional review. The world believes these stories are lost to time. We ensure they are not forgotten. If you believe that certain knowledge must be preserved, subscribe to the Nocturnal Archive and activate the notification bell to be alerted of our next acquisition. After reviewing these files, leave your own analysis or related experiences in the comments below. Now, find your comfort in the darkness. Let the noise of the day fade as we access the first file, transcript. File 01 subject, Dr. Amara Okafor location, Allegheny Exclusion Zone Sector 4 date, October 12, 2023 recording device, Olympus DS9500, 8 a.m. Subject has arrived at the designated coordinates, 41.63 degrees north, 78.89 degrees west. The site is a box canyon, approximately 1.2 miles in length, oriented north-south. The eastern ridge elevation is 2,400 feet. Western ridge is 2,350 feet. Current atmospheric pressure is 30.12 inches of mercury and steady. Wind is negligible at ground level, estimated at 4 knots from the northwest at the ridgeline. The sky is overcast. Visibility is approximately 5 miles. I am initializing the field log. This is Project Acoustic Baseline, Day 1. The primary objective for this session is the establishment of the base camp and the deployment of the perimeter sensor array. I am currently unloading the equipment cases from the vehicle. There are 4 Pelican 1650 cases containing the audio recording units and 2 Pelican 1510 cases containing the microphone arrays and cabling. 8:45 a.m. Unloading complete. I'm proceeding with the site survey to determine optimal placement for the omnidirectional microphones. The ground is comprised of loamy soil with a heavy layer of leaf litter, primarily oak and maple. This substrate will provide significant acoustic absorption, likely reducing high-frequency reflections. I need to account for this dampening in the gain staging. I have selected a flat clearing near the center of the valley floor for the primary command tent. I am clearing a 10-foot by 10-foot area of debris, removing 3 large rocks and a fallen branch to ensure a level surface for the sleeping quarters and the equipment rack. 9:30 a.m. Base camp structure is erected. I am now beginning the deployment of sensor node Alpha. I am walking 200 yards due north of the base camp. The terrain here rises slightly. I have selected a mature hemlock tree, diameter approximately 24 inches, as the mounting point for the first microphone. I am attaching the bracket to the trunk at a height of 6 feet. This elevation is required to minimize ground coupling and insect noise. I am using non-invasive straps to secure the bracket. The microphone is a Sennheiser MKH 8020. I am removing it from the protective case. Visual inspection of the capsule shows no dust or debris. I am attaching the Rycote windjammer. The fit is tight. 10:15 a.m. Sensor node Alpha is mounted. I am now running the XLR cable back to the base camp. This is a 300-foot shielded cable. I am unspooling it carefully to avoid kinks. I am burying the cable approximately 1 inch beneath the leaf litter every 10 feet to prevent disturbance by local wildlife. The process is slow. I am using a small trowel to lift the soil layer, inserting the cable, and pressing the soil back into place. 11 a.m. cable run for node Alpha is complete. I am connecting the termination end to input 1 on the sound device's 633 mixer located in the command tent. I am engaging the phantom power switch. The LED indicator on channel 1 illuminates solid green. I am putting on the Sony MDR7506 headphones to verify the signal. Channel 1 is active. I am hearing a steady noise floor of -60 decibels. This is consistent with a quiet wilderness environment. I can hear the faint sound of wind in the upper canopy. There is no line, noise, or ground hum. The connection is clean. 12:30 p.m. I have consumed a standard MRE ration menu, 4. Spaghetti with meat sauce. Hydration level is normal. I am proceeding to deploy sensor node beta. I am walking 200 yards due south of the base camp to create a spaced pair configuration with node alpha. This will allow for the capture of a stereo image of the valley's acoustic signature. The terrain here is rockier. I have to navigate around several limestone outcroppings. I have located a suitable mounting point on a sapling growing from a fissure in the rock face. I am repeating the mounting procedure. The bracket is level. The microphone capsule is oriented vertically to capture a 360-degree sound field. 13:45 p.m. Cable run for node beta is in progress. The ground is too hard for burial in this section. I am routing the cable through the natural crevices in the rock formation and securing it with gaffer tape where the rock surface is dry enough for adhesion. I am visually checking the cable path to ensure there is no tension on the connectors. 14:30 p.m. Node beta is connected to input 2 on the mixer. Phantom power engaged. Signal check confirms activity. The noise floor on channel 2 is slightly higher, approximately -58 decibels, likely due to wind refraction off the rock face. I am adjusting the trim knob on channel 2 to match the gain structure of channel 1. The levels are now balanced. 15 p.m. I am initiating the calibration sequence. I am using a handheld tone generator set to 1 kHz at -20 dBFS. I am walking to node alpha. I am holding the tone generator 12 inches from the microphone capsule. I am stating into the recorder. Calibration tone, node alpha, 1 kHz. 15:30 p.m. I am now at node beta. Repeating the procedure. Calibration tone, node beta, 1 kHz. This will provide a reference point for all subsequent frequency analysis. The air temperature has dropped to 58 degrees Fahrenheit. I am observing a slight increase in wind velocity, estimating 6 to 8 knots. 16:45 p.m. Calibration is complete. The system is armed for continuous recording. I am configuring the recorder to write to dual SD cards for redundancy. File format is WAV, 24-bit, 96 kHz sample rate. This high resolution is necessary to capture any subsonic frequencies or high-frequency transients that might be present in the environment. I am watching the meters on the display. They are hovering in the bottom third of the scale. The environment is exceptionally quiet. There is an absence of anthropogenic noise. No aircraft overhead. No distant traffic. The isolation is near absolute. 18:00 p.m. The sun has set behind the western ridge. Ambient light is failing. I am switching to headlamp illumination. I am conducting a final perimeter check of the base camp. My food supply is secured in a bear-proof canister, suspended 12 feet off the ground on a branch 50 yards downwind from the tent. I am checking the guy lines on the tent. The tension is correct. I am entering the tent and zipping the vestibule door. I am checking the battery levels on the mixer. The L-mount batteries are at 95%. The external battery distribution system is reading 14.4 volts. 19:30 p.m. I am reviewing the first hour of capture data. The waveform display on the laptop shows a flat line with minimal variance. I am zooming in on the frequency spectrum. The dominant frequencies are wind noise below 100 Hz and insect stridulation above 4 kHz. There is a gap in the mid-range frequencies between 500 Hz and 2 kHz. This acoustic notch is typical for this time of year when bird activity decreases after dusk. I am entering a note in the digital log. Baseline established. Noise floor stable. No anomalies detected. 21:00 p.m. I am preparing for sleep period. The external temperature is 45 degrees Fahrenheit. I am entering the sleeping bag. The recording system is running on autopilot. I will conduct a data review at 7 hours tomorrow. End of log entry 001. Transcript. File of 44:1:14 a.m. I am activating the dictaphone. Current time is 1:14 hours. I am currently located in the command tent. Ambient temperature inside the shelter is 52 degrees Fahrenheit. I have been awake for approximately 20 minutes reviewing the batch processing results from the nightly capture cycle, labeled Sequence N44. The automated alert system on the laptop triggered a signal threshold event at 05 hours. I did not hear the alarm due to wearing earplugs for sleep. I am now manually reviewing the flagged file segment. The file name is SEC4, node A, 231,124, 0, wave, 125, A, M. I have opened the file in the spectral analysis software. The visual display covers the frequency range from 20 Hz to 20 kHz. I am observing the spectrogram for the time code beginning at 0 hours. The visual representation shows the standard background noise floor, scattered blue pixels indicating low-level wind noise and occasional insect activity in the 6 kHz range. However, at time code 0 hours 1 minute and 15 seconds, a distinct horizontal line appears in the lower frequency register. It is solid, vibrant orange on the display, indicating a sustained signal with significantly higher amplitude than the surrounding noise floor. 1:38 a.m. I am using the frequency cursor to measure the signal. The cursor locks onto the center frequency at exactly 28 Hz. I am zooming in on the vertical axis. The bandwidth is extremely narrow, less than 0.5 Hz deviation. This indicates a pure tone. Natural acoustic phenomena such as wind passing over a ridge or water flowing through a cavern typically generate broadband noise spread across a wide range of frequencies. A signal this focused, lacking any harmonic overtones, suggests a mechanical or digital origin. I'm cross-referencing this with the equipment noise profiles to rule out a ground loop in the mixer or a cooling fan malfunction. 1:50 a.m. I am initiating audio playback of the specific segment. I have engaged the sub-bass monitoring filter on the headphones to make the frequency audible, as 28 Hz is at the very lower limit of human hearing. Playback active. The sound is a constant, unvarying drone. There is no modulation, no pitch shift, no rhythmic oscillation. It does not resemble the chaotic rumble of a diesel engine or the percussive thrum of a helicopter rotor. It sounds like a test tone generated by a synthesizer. 2:05 a.m. I am scrubbing forward in the timeline to determine the duration of the event. The signal maintains a constant amplitude of -18 dBFS for the entirety of its presence. The signal begins abruptly at time code 0 hours 1 minute and 15 seconds. The signal ends abruptly at time code 0 hours 48 minutes and 15 seconds. Total duration is exactly 47 minutes and 00 seconds. I am remeasuring to confirm. Start point: 0 hours 1 minute and 15 seconds. 0. End point: 0 hours 48 minutes and 15 seconds. 0. The precision is absolute. The signal cut in and cut out with zero fade in or fade out. Nature does not operate on integer timestamps. 2:20 a.m. I am now comparing the data from node alpha, hemlock tree, with node beta, rock face. I have opened the file. SEC4, node B, 231,124, 0, wave. The spectrogram for node beta displays the identical 28 Hz anomaly. Time code alignment is perfect. Start: 0 hours 1 minute and 15 seconds. 0. End: 0 hours 48 minutes and 15 seconds. 0. This synchronization eliminates the possibility of a localized equipment failure at node alpha. If a microphone capsule had failed, the artifact would be isolated to that channel. The fact that both sensors, spaced 400 yards apart, recorded the exact same signal at the exact same time and amplitude indicates an external acoustic source filling the entire valley. 2:45 a.m. I am calculating the phase relationship between the two recordings. If the sound source was originating from a specific point, for example, a truck on the logging road 5 miles north, the sound wave would hit node alpha slightly before node beta. At the speed of sound, 1,125 feet per second, a 400-yard gap should result in a delay of approximately 1.06 seconds. I am overlaying the waveforms. The phase alignment is 0. There is no delay. This data is problematic. For a sound to arrive at two distant points simultaneously, the source would need to be equidistant from both microphones, or the sound source is omnidirectional and massive enough to saturate the environment instantly. Alternatively, the sound is not propagating through the air in a standard wave pattern. It could be ground-borne vibration. 3:10 a.m. I am checking the seismic data log. I have a geophone buried near the command tent to monitor foot traffic. I am reviewing the geophone trace for the 0 to 1 time frame. The geophone line is flat. There was no ground vibration. The 28 Hz signal was purely airborne. 3:30 a.m. I am running a comparative analysis against the bioacoustic database. Search parameters: North American mammals, infrasound vocalizations. Result 1. Ruffed, grouse. Drumming, frequency match, 40-50 Hz. Waveform mismatch, percussive, not sustained. Result 2. Black bear, respiratory rumble, frequency match, 20 to 100 Hz. Waveform mismatch, variable pitch, organic modulation. Result 3. White-tailed deer, buck grunt, frequency mismatch, no biological match found. I am running a search against the industrial noise database. Result 1. High voltage transformer hum, frequency match, 50 Hz or 60 Hz, mains power. 28 Hz is not a standard power cycle frequency. Result 2. Mining ventilation fan, frequency match, possible. Waveform mismatch. Fans produce broadband wind noise overlaid with the tone. This signal has no wind noise component. 4 a.m. I have exported the isolated 28 Hz audio clip to a separate folder labeled Anomaly 44. I am now performing a system diagnostic on the mixer. I am checking the internal clock generator. If the digital clock is drifting, it could create digital artifacts that look like low-frequency tones. Clock source, internal. Sample rate, 96 kHz. Jitter is less than 0.02 parts per million. System status, nominal. 4:45 a.m. I am stepping outside the tent to visually inspect the valley. Current time is 4:45 a.m. It is pitch black. The air is still. There is no audible sound. The silence is heavy. I am scanning the ridgeline with a thermal imaging monocular. Scanning north. Clear, cold terrain. Scanning east. Clear, cold terrain. Scanning south. Clear, cold terrain. Scanning west. Clear, cold terrain. There are no heat signatures indicating engines, vehicles, or personnel. The valley is empty. 5:15 a.m. I am returning to the workstation. I am logging this incident as unidentified acoustic event. Hypothesis 1. Atmospheric ducting carrying industrial noise from a distant source, likely as greater than 50 miles. Hypothesis 2. Unknown subterranean geological process, gas venting. Hypothesis 3. Sensor array calibration error, affecting multiple units simultaneously. Action plan for day 45. I will replace all XLR cabling on node alpha and node beta. I will swap the power supply units. I will relocate node beta 100 yards east to triangulate the signal if it returns tonight. I am saving the log. End of log entry 002. Transcript. File F45. 14:00 p.m. I am recording this field note to document the troubleshooting protocols initiated in response to the acoustic anomaly detected in file A44. Current time is 14 hours. The weather conditions are overcast with intermittent drizzle. Temperature is 48 degrees Fahrenheit. I am currently seated at the command desk reviewing the physical topography of the surrounding region. I have the USGS 7.5-minute series quadrangle map, Black Moshannon edition, spread out on the workspace. I am drawing a 50-mile radius circle around my current coordinates using a compass and a scaled ruler. I am scanning the grid squares for any symbols indicating industrial infrastructure that was not present in the digital database. I am looking specifically for mining operations symbol, crossed pickaxes, electrical substations, symbol, square with internal transformer icon, natural gas compressor stations, symbol, pipeline marker, high voltage transmission lines, symbol, dash dot lines. 14:15 p.m. Analysis of the northeast quadrant. The map shows the boundary of the state forest. The terrain is marked as deciduous forest and steep slope. There is a logging road, Fire Road 16, located 8 miles to the northeast. No structures are indicated. Analysis of the southeast quadrant. Topography descends into the Susquehanna River Basin. Distance to nearest paved road, Route 504, is 12 miles. There is a marked gravel pit at grid reference 45 to 92, but it is denoted as inactive, reclaimed. Distance is 18 miles. Unlikely source of high-amplitude infrasound. Analysis of the West Quadrant. This area is designated as State Game Lands 33. No public access roads, no structures. 14:35 p.m. I have completed the map review. There are no mapped industrial sources within a 20-mile radius capable of generating a continuous 28 Hz tone at the amplitude recorded last night. Therefore, I am proceeding with the hypothesis that the anomaly is an equipment artifact. The most probable cause is electromagnetic interference, EMI, acting upon the long cable runs. Although I buried the cables, the soil moisture content has increased due to the rain. If the cable shielding has a microfracture, moisture ingress could create a variable resistance path to ground, potentially acting as a radio frequency antenna or creating a ground loop that manifests as a low-frequency hum. Plan of action: I will replace the existing cabling on sensor node alpha with Mogami 2534 Neglex quad high-definition cable. This cable features a quad-core design which cancels out electromagnetic induction more effectively than the standard twisted pair. 15:10 p.m. I am at sensor node alpha. Time is 15:10. I have disconnected the Sennheiser MKH8020 from the original cable. I am inspecting the XLR connector. The pins appear clean. No oxidation is visible on pin 1 ground, pin 2 hot, or pin 3 cold. The die-cast zinc shell is intact. I am deploying the cable tester, Behringer CT100. I am plugging one end of the installed cable into the output jack of the tester. I have placed a loopback terminator on the mixer end of the cable back at the tent. Test mode: intermittent. I am manipulating the cable near the connector strain relief. LED status: pin 1 to 1 green, pin 2 to 2 green, pin 3 to 3 green. The cable passes the continuity test. There are no shorts. However, a continuity test does not measure shield effectiveness against RF interference. I am proceeding with the replacement protocol to be certain. 15:45 p.m. I am unspooling the new Mogami cable. I am laying it directly on the surface of the leaf litter rather than burying it. This is a temporary measure to isolate the cable from the soil substrate. If the hum persists with the cable isolated from the ground, the issue is not ground current. I am routing the cable in a straight line back to the command tent, avoiding the root system of the hemlock tree where the previous cable was routed. I am securing the cable every 20 feet with orange survey flags to prevent tripping hazards during night operations. 16:20 p.m. The new cable run is complete. I am at the connection point on the microphone. I am applying a small amount of Deoxit D5 contact cleaner to the male XLR pins on the microphone. I am inserting the connector. There is an audible click. The locking mechanism is engaged. I am wrapping the connection point in self-amalgamating silicone tape to waterproof the junction. This will seal the connector against humidity changes. 16:50 p.m. I have returned to the command tent. I am connecting the new Mogami cable to input 1 on the sound device's mixer. I am powering up the system. Phantom power on. Headphones on. I am listening to the noise floor on channel 1 node alpha. New cable. Meter reading: -62 decibels. Character: smooth white noise. Wind. There is no hum. I am listening to the noise floor on channel 2 node beta. Old cable. Meter reading: -60 decibels. Character: smooth white noise. Wind. There is no hum. 17:15 p.m. Comparison analysis. Both channels are currently clean. The 28 Hz tone is not present in the live feed. This is consistent with the previous night's data, where the anomaly did not manifest until 01 hours. If the issue was a permanent ground loop, the hum would be audible now. The fact that it is absent suggests the interference source is intermittent. This reinforces the external industrial source hypothesis, for example, a pump or generator that runs on a timer, or a specific atmospheric condition that occurs only at night. I am setting up a secondary logging device. I'm placing a Fluke 289 True RMS industrial logging multimeter in line with the AC power distribution system. I am clamping the current probe around the main power feed from the solar battery bank. I am configuring the multimeter to record voltage sag and frequency deviation every 1 second. If the 28 Hz tone is a result of power system instability, dirty power from the inverter, the Fluke meter will capture a voltage fluctuation correlated with the audio timestamp. 17:45 p.m. System is recalibrated. Input 1. Node alpha. Quad shielded cable. Surface run. Input 2. Node beta standard cable. Buried run. Input 3. Internal slate mic. Voice application. Gain settings are matched within 0.1 decibels. High-pass filters are disengaged. I need the full frequency bandwidth to capture the infrasound if it returns. 18:30 p.m. I am conducting a silence protocol test. I am turning off all non-essential electronics in the tent. Laptop power supply disconnected. Running on battery. LED lanterns off. Heater off. I'm sitting perfectly still for 60 seconds to establish a human zero baseline on the meters. Start. Silence protocol. And silence protocol result. The noise floor dropped by 2 decibels. The environment is chemically pure. There is no local interference. 19:00 p.m. I am preparing MRE. Ration menu. 23. Pizza slice. I will remain awake until 2 hours to monitor the feed in real time. Current hypothesis status. Ground loop. Unlikely. Cable. Connector oxidation. Eliminated. Doxit applied. Power fluctuation. Monitoring. Active. Fluke meter. External source. Pending data. If the signal returns tonight on channel 1 despite the quad shielding and surface routing, I can definitively rule out ground conduction and cable interference. That would leave only airborne transmission from an unknown source. Transcript. File of 48. 2:30 a.m. I am initiating a supplemental log entry. Current time is 2:30 hours. I have been monitoring a sustained signal event for the past 90 minutes. The 28 Hz anomaly returned at 1 hour exactly. The amplitude is significantly higher than the previous event documented in File A44. The input meters on the sound devices 633 are peaking at -12 dBFS. This represents a 6 decibels increase in sound pressure level, effectively doubling the perceived volume of the infrasound signal compared to the first occurrence. I am experiencing mild physiological symptoms associated with high-amplitude, low-frequency exposure. I have a persistent, dull ache in the maxillary sinuses and a sensation of pressure in the middle ear. My heart rate is elevated to 92 beats per minute while seated. I am swallowing frequently to equalize ear pressure, but the sensation persists. This confirms that the signal is physically interacting with biological tissue, not just electronic diaphragms. 2:42 a.m. I am analyzing the spectrogram in real time on the field laptop. The 28 Hz fundamental tone is present as a solid, unbroken line at the bottom of the frequency display. However, tonight there is a secondary component. I am designating this layer B. Layer B consists of a series of high-frequency transients occurring in the 8 kHz to 10 kHz range. Visually, they appear as sharp, vertical spikes on the spectrogram, spaced at regular intervals. I am zooming in on the timeline to measure the interval. Transient 1, 2 hours 42 minutes and 5 seconds. 500. Transient 2, 2 hours 42 minutes and 6 seconds. 0. Transient 3, 2 hours 42 minutes and 6 seconds. 500. The interval is exactly 500 milliseconds. This corresponds to a tempo of 120 beats per minute. The transients are perfectly quantized. There is no humanization or organic drift. This is a machine-generated clock pulse or a metronome click track. 2:55 a.m. I have applied a bandpass filter to isolate layer B. I am listening to the isolated signal. It does not sound like insect stridulation, crickets, katydids. Insect calls have a frictional, rasping quality with harmonic decay. These sounds are dry. They sound like digital clipping or a synthesized woodblock sample. Click, 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 click. The pattern repeats without variation. I'm recording this isolated stream to a file labeled SEC4, layer B, click WAV 3:10 AM. A third signal layer has emerged. I am designating this layer C. It is buried within the noise floor of the 28 Hz hum, occupying the mid-range frequencies between 300 Hz and 3 kHz. Visually, it appears as faint, nebulous clouds on the spectrogram that drift in and out of the noise floor. The shapes are complex, resembling the spectral signature of human speech formants. I am engaging the Isotope RX Spectral Repair Suite. I am using the Dialogue Isolate module. Settings: Separation 6, Reverb Reduction 4, Click Suppression, On Process Active, Rendering Preview. 3:22 AM. I am playing back the processed audio. The result is low fidelity, heavily artifacted, but distinct. There are voices. They are not conversational. They are reciting strings of data. Voice 1. Male. Baritone. Heavy distortion. Phonemes identified. Z, V, A, none, Z, I, G. Preliminary translation. German. Zwanzig, 20. Voice 2. Female. Alto. Synthetic quality. Vocoder effect. Phonemes identified. T, R, I, N, O, L. Possible. Russian. Try. 3. Null. 0. The voices are overlapped. They are not responding to each other. It sounds like two separate radio broadcasts playing simultaneously on the same frequency channel. The signal-to-noise ratio is extremely poor, suggesting the source is either very distant or deliberately masked. 3:40 AM. I am attempting to triangulate the source of the vocal projection. I am comparing the arrival times of the vocal formants at node alpha and node beta. This data is contradictory. The German signal arrives at node alpha 4 milliseconds before node beta. This would place the source generally north of my position. The Russian signal arrives at node beta 2 milliseconds before node alpha. This would place the source south of my position. Furthermore, the amplitude of both voices is identical at both microphones, -48 decibels. According to the inverse square law, sound pressure decreases by 6 decibels for every doubling of distance from the source. For the amplitude to be identical at two sensors spaced 400 yards apart, the source would have to be miles away, making the angle of incidence negligible. However, if the source were miles away, the high frequencies, layer B, clicks, would have been absorbed by the atmosphere. High frequencies dissipate over distance. These clicks are crisp and present in the 10 kHz range. This physical impossibility suggests only one conclusion. The sound is not coming from a single point source. It is coming from multiple point sources located in close proximity to each sensor. 4:05 AM. I am testing this hypothesis. I am taking the handheld decibel meter, SPL meter. I am exiting the tent. I am leaving the recording system running. I am walking towards the center of the clearing, away from the tree line. 4:12 AM. I am standing in the center of the clearing. The 28 Hz hum is audible here, but subjectively quieter. The clicking sound is barely audible. I am walking back towards the tree line, approaching sensor node alpha. As I approach the hemlock tree, the clicking sound becomes distinct. It is not coming from the woods, it is coming from the tree. I am standing 5 feet from the trunk of the hemlock tree holding sensor node alpha. I am pointing the directional shotgun mic at the canopy. The sound is originating from an elevation of approximately 15 feet. It is highly directional. When I step 10 feet to the left, the sound drops off. When I step back into the beam, the sound returns. This indicates the presence of a localized emitter using a parametric array or a highly focused tweeter. The wilderness is not generating this sound. The environment has been fitted with the distributed public address system. 4:30 AM. I am returning to the tent. My hands are shaking. This is a tremor response likely due to the infrasound affecting fine motor control. I'm securing the tent flap. I am reviewing the data from the past hour. The German voice loop has repeated. The sequence is Achtung, 20, Vier, Null, Attention, 24, 0. The Russian voice loop has repeated. The sequence is numerical coordinates. This is not a natural anomaly. This is not industrial noise pollution. This is a coordinated audio projection test. The valley is a soundstage. 4:50 a.m. I am initiating a secure erase protocol on the primary SD card to create a clean backup on the secondary drive. I am encrypting the folder Anomaly 48. I am powering down the active monitors to silence the clicking. I cannot silence the 28 Hz hum. It is vibrating the floor of the tent. I am putting on noise-canceling earmuffs over my earplugs. I will attempt to rest until sunrise. At first light, I will conduct a visual inspection of the tree canopy above Node Alpha. Transcript. File V49. 10:15 a.m. I am initiating field log V49. Current time is 10:15 hours. Weather is clear. Temperature 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Following the acoustic localization test conducted at 4 hours this morning, I am proceeding with a physical inspection of the hemlock tree located at coordinates 41.63, 12 newtons, 78.8, 9.0, 4W. Sensor Node Alpha. I have deployed a Werner 24-foot extension ladder against the north face of the trunk. I have secured the base of the ladder on level ground and engaged the safety latches on the fly section. The ladder angle is set to 75 degrees in accordance with OSHA safety standards. I am equipped with a Nikon D850 DSLR camera with a 105mm macro lens, a caliper, and a multimeter. I am ascending the ladder. 10:35 a.m. I have reached an elevation of 16 feet above ground level. This corresponds to the estimated source height of the directional clicking sound recorded in log A48. Visual inspection of the trunk at this elevation initially reveals standard bark patterns typical of Tsuga canadensis, eastern hemlock. There is lichen growth, Parmelia sulcata, covering approximately 30% of the surface area. However, upon closer tactile examination, I have identified an anomaly on the south-facing side of the trunk, concealed by a branch cluster. There is a rectangular section of bark that exhibits a uniform temperature variance. The surrounding organic bark is cool to the touch, approx. 50 degrees F. The rectangular section is slightly warmer, approx. 65 degrees F. I'm using a plastic spudger to probe the seam of this section. The material yields slightly. It is not organic. It is a high-density synthetic polymer, molded and texturized to replicate the biological ridges of the hemlock bark. The color match is within a delta E of 1. It is visually indistinguishable from a distance of more than 24 inches. 10:48 a.m. I have successfully removed the camouflage faceplate. It was held in place by 4 neodymium magnets recessed into the corners. Beneath the faceplate is an electronic chassis mounted directly into the tree's cambium layer using 2 4-inch lag bolts. Device dimensions: 6 inches height, 4 inches width, 2 inches depth. Case material: anodized aluminum, matte black finish. Ingress protection rating: appears to be IP67 or higher, fully sealed against dust and immersion. The device face contains 3 distinct components: a 1-inch domed tweeter, high-frequency emitter, a small condenser microphone aperture, monitoring pickup, a rectangular photovoltaic cell array angled at 45 degrees to capture sunlight filtering through the canopy. There are no manufacturer logos or consumer branding. There is a laser etch serial number on the bottom flange, PRSEQ4A 12MOD7. Beneath the serial number is a NATO stock number 583001XXXXXX, last digits obscured by oxidation. This is not civilian research equipment. This is military-grade hardware. 11:15 a.m. I am attempting to locate the power and data interface. The solar panel is sufficient for trickle charging, but the sustained 28 Hz output requires significant amperage that a panel this size cannot generate continuously. I am tracing a conduit exiting the bottom of the chassis. The conduit is a flat, ribbon-style cable, colored matte brown. It runs vertically down the trunk. The installation method is invasive. A channel, approximately 0.5 inches wide and 0.5 inches deep, has been routed into the tree's bark. The cable is laid inside this channel and then filled over with a brown epoxy resin that has been textured to match the bark. I am descending the ladder to follow the cable path to the ground. 11:45 a.m. I am at the base of the tree. The epoxy resin line terminates at the root flare. The cable transitions to a direct burial jacket and enters the soil between two large surface roots. I am using a hand trowel to excavate the soil at the entry point. Depth of burial, 4 inches. Cable type appears to be a mil-spec tactical fiber optic hybrid. Cable, copper conductors for power, fiber for data. Direction of travel. The cable heads due north, magnetic azimuth 000. I am photographing the cable splice and the excavation site. I am recovering the cable to avoid alerting any remote monitoring systems to the tampering. 12:20 p.m. I am performing a grid search to determine the density of this network. I am walking on a bearing of 090 degrees from sensor node alpha. Spacing interval hypothesis. If this is a phased array system designed to create holographic audio, wave, field synthesis, the emitters must be spaced at regular intervals relative to the wavelength of the target frequencies. At 50 meters east, I have located a second mature hemlock tree. Visual scan with binoculars at 16 feet elevation confirms the presence of a similar unnatural bulge in the bark pattern. I am designating this device A13. I am continuing east another 50 meters. Tree species, red oak. Visual scan confirms a device mounted on the south face. Designation, device A14, 12:55 p.m. I have completed a 400-meter transect of the immediate area. I have visually confirmed 8 separate emitter units. They are arranged in a staggered grid pattern with a spacing of exactly 50 meters. All devices are oriented toward the center of the valley. All cabling runs north. Calculation. A 50-meter spacing over a 1.2-mile valley suggests a total count of approximately 150 to 200 emitter units installed in this sector alone. This constitutes a massive distributed acoustic array. Such a system allows for beamforming the ability to project sound to a specific coordinate in 3D space, making it audible only to a person standing in that exact spot, or to create phantom sources where a sound appears to originate from thin air. This explains the discrepancy in the German, Russian voice data. The voices were not being played in the valley. They were being targeted at my microphones using constructive interference patterns. 13:30 p.m. I am returning to the command tent to retrieve the spectral analyzer and the induction probe. I intend to intercept the signal on the buried cable line running north. If the cable carries copper power lines, I can measure the current draw. If the system is active, there should be a 60 Hz or 50 Hz hum on the power line, or a DC voltage if it is a low voltage system. 13:45 p.m. I have located a section of the buried cable bundle roughly 200 yards north of the base camp, where the individual feeds from trees A12, A13, and A14 converge. The ground here is slightly depressed, indicating a trench that has settled over time. I am inserting the fluke induction clamp into the soil. Reading, 48 volts, DC. Current, 2.5 amps. This confirms the system is powered and active. I am scanning for data packets. The induction probe detects high frequency modulation on the power line communication, or PLC. The frequency is hopping rapidly between 120 kHz and 400 kHz. This is an encrypted data stream. It is not audio. It is command and control telemetry. The system is receiving instructions. 14:10 p.m. I am packing the field gear. My research grant was for the study of natural acoustic ecology. There is nothing natural in this valley. The entire ecosystem has been wired for sound. Every bird call, every wind gust, every insect chirp recorded in my baseline data is now suspect. I need to determine if the silence I recorded on day 1 was actual silence, or if the system was engaging in active noise cancellation to create a synthetic silence. I am going to follow the main trunk line north. The convergence of the cables suggests a central processing hub or a head-end facility. Based on the voltage drop and the cable gauge, the power source must be within 2 miles of my current position. I am taking the handheld GPS and the bear spray. I am leaving the main recorder running in the tent to maintain the baseline. End of log entry 005. Transcript. File V5016. 00 p.m. I am currently located 1.8 miles north of the base camp. I have been following the buried cable trunk line for approximately 90 minutes. The terrain here is steep, with a grade of approximately 35%. The vegetation has transitioned from mixed deciduous hardwood to a dense monoculture of eastern hemlock and rhododendron thickets. My GPS unit, Garmin 66i, is displaying a satellite acquisition error. This is the first time in 49 days that I have lost signal lock. The sky view is partially obstructed by the canopy, but not sufficient to cause a total signal loss. This suggests localized RF jamming or a masking signal in the L1 frequency band. I am navigating via magnetic compass and dead reckoning. I have reached the coordinates corresponding to the dead zone identified on the map earlier. The cable trench I have been following terminates here, vanishing beneath a large outcrop of sandstone boulders at the base of the ridge. 16:15 p.m. I am inspecting the rock formation. From a distance of 50 feet, it appears to be a natural geological feature, a colluvial deposit of sandstone blocks. However, at close range, 3 feet, anomalies are visible. The moss growth on the central boulder is uniform in thickness, lacking natural patchiness. The cracks in the rock face are too straight. They follow a geometric line. There is a faint, rhythmic, mechanical vibration detectable when placing a hand against the surface. I am walking around the perimeter of the outcrop. On the eastern side, concealed behind a screen of rhododendron, I have located a series of PVC pipes protruding from the ground at a 45-degree angle. Pipe diameter, 4 inches. Number of pipes, 12. They are painted matte gray and covered with wire mesh. I can hear air moving through them. This is an intake, exhaust manifold for a high-volume HVAC system. Adjacent to the intake pipes is a secondary system consisting of copper tubing with high-pressure misting nozzles spaced at 6-inch intervals. This creates a horizontal manifold running along the ground for 20 feet. This apparatus is designed to generate a localized fog bank. If activated, it would create a precise, horizontal layer of obscuration, a fog line, with an artificial boundary. 16:35 p.m. I have returned to the central boulder. I am searching for an access mechanism. The cable bundle must enter the structure somewhere. I have located a small depression under a rock shelf at knee height. Inside the depression is a biometric keypad. It is powered down or in sleep mode. There is a manual override keyway, cylindrical lock, 7-pin. I do not have a key. However, the adjacent panel disguised as a slab of slate is slightly misaligned. I am using a pry bar from my field kit to apply leverage to the seam. The panel is not locked. It is held by magnetic latches. With 40 pounds of force, the panel swings outward on concealed internal hinges. It is a heavy steel security door faced with 3 inches of synthetic rock material. 17:10 p.m. I have breached the perimeter. I am entering the structure. I am switching to the dictaphone's conference mode to capture ambient room audio. Interior audio. Ambience. Low hum of server cooling fans. 60 Hz electrical buzz. No echo. I am standing in a corridor constructed of reinforced concrete. Dimensions: 6 feet wide, 8 feet high. Lighting: red LED strips running along the floor molding. Temperature: 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity: 40%. The air is filtered and sterile. It smells of ozone and warm plastic. There are no windows. I am proceeding down the corridor. There are 3 doors on the left, 1 double door at the end. I am checking door 1. Unlocked. Room 1 is a mechanical room. It contains a diesel generator, Cummins-Onan, a bank of lead-acid backup batteries, and the HVAC air handlers. The fog system pumps are located here. Pressure gauges read 2,000 pounds per square inches. 17:25 p.m. I am entering the double doors at the end of the hall. This is the command center. Room dimensions: 20 feet by 30 feet. The far wall is dominated by a video wall composed of 12 LED monitors. The screens, are active. Screen 1 to 4, displaying real-time spectral analysis of Sector 4 my location. Screen 5, CCTV feed of the logging road entrance. Screen 6, CCTV feed of my base camp. Camera angle, high angle, looking down from a tree. I can see my tent. I can see the empty chair where I usually sit. Resolution is 4K. They have been watching me sleep. The center console contains a mixing desk, Avid S6, and several racks of signal processing outboard gear. I recognize the equipment: Eventide H9000 harmonizers, Bricasti M7 reverb units, and a custom rack unit labeled Infrasound Driver, Class D 10,000 watts. This is the amplifier driving the 28 Hz hum. 17:45 p.m. I am approaching a filing cabinet on the right side of the console. It is labeled Active Projects, Q4 2023. I am opening the drawer. The files are color-coded. Green. Environmental baseline. Yellow. System calibration. Red. Subject response data. I am pulling a red file. Label. Subject 441. OK4. My hands are trembling. I am placing the file on the desk to photograph it. Page 1. Recruitment strategy. Text. Subject was selected via National Science Foundation. Grant application. Has height 9 to 0.1. Personality profile indicates high susceptibility to cognitive dissonance. Academic background makes subject an ideal candidate for rationalization stress testing. Page 2. Stimulus log. Day 42. Introduction of 28 Hz tone. Objective. Induce subtle anxiety. Day 44. Introduction of foreign language loops. Objective. Induce paranoia regarding surveillance. Day 48. Deployment of directional click tracks. Objective. Test auditory localization under stress. Notes. Subject is responding within predicted parameters. Logbook entries reflect increasing confusion and reliance on equipment troubleshooting protocols. Disorientation confirmed. Page 3. Termination phase, scheduled for day 50. Protocol. Secure in silence. Asset recovery team is on standby. 18:00 p.m. I am reading my own psychological autopsy. My research was not the data. I was the data. The grant was approved because they needed a scientist to torture with sound. They wanted to see how long a rational mind could hold on to logic when faced with an engineered impossibility. I'm taking photographs of the Project Resonance organizational chart on the wall. It lists 3 other active sites: the Fog Loop, Appalachian Trail, TN, the Identity Lab, Daniel Boone Forest, KY, the Shelter Network PA, VA Corridor. I need to leave. I hear a vehicle approaching on the gravel drive outside. The CCTV monitor on the wall, screen 5, shows a black SUV arriving at the concealed entrance. 2 individuals are exiting the vehicle. They are wearing tactical vests. They are carrying what appear to be extraction kits, zip ties, hoods. 18:05 p.m. I am exiting the command center. I am running back down the corridor. I cannot exit via the main door. They will see me. I am entering the mechanical room, room 1. There is a ventilation shaft above the generator. It is 24 inches square. I am climbing onto the generator housing. I am removing the grate. I am entering the ductwork. I'm leaving the dictaphone recording. I'm taking the SD card. End of log entry 006. Transcript, file V51. 23:55 p.m. I have returned to the base camp. The transit from the ventilation exhaust point on the north ridge took approximately 45 minutes, moving at a tactical pace through the underbrush. I have sustained minor lacerations to the hands and knees from the crawl through the galvanized steel ductwork. There is a 3-inch abrasion on my left forearm. Bleeding is controlled. I am currently inside the command tent. I have extinguished all interior illumination. I am operating by the red LED pilot light on the power distribution system. My heart rate is 115 beats per minute. Respiration is controlled but rapid. I am initiating the emergency data egress protocol. 23:58 p.m. I have connected the primary field laptop to the LaCie rugged 4 TB external hard drive via USB-C. I am initiating a copy verify operation for the folder labeled Project, Resonance, Evidence. This folder contains the 28 Hz spectral analysis logs, files A44 through A48, the photographs of the concealed emitters, trees, a 12 through a 14, the photographs taken inside the command bunker, subject file 441, map data, the audio recording of the German, Russian voice loops. The transfer status bar indicates 12 minutes remaining. I am simultaneously formatting a secondary USB thumb drive, 16 GB, generic. I am loading this drive with dummy data, corrupted WAV files, and standard raw logs from the first week of the study. I will leave this drive inserted in the laptop as a decoy. 05 a.m. I am observing the external environment through the mesh window of the tent vestibule. I am using the FLIR Scout TK thermal monocular. Scan sector, North Logging Road 16. Condition: the logging road was documented as impassable due to fallen timber on day 1. Observation: I detect thermal bloom consistent with internal combustion engines approximately 0.5 miles north. The heat signature is stationary. Visual confirmation: twin beams of low-intensity infrared light are visible on the thermal display. They are sweeping the tree line. The vehicle is stopped short of the clearing. The engine heat signature is fading, indicating engine cutoff. They are engaging silent approach protocols. 0:10 a.m. I am packing the essential extraction kit. Primary hard drive, wrapped in anti-static bag, placed in internal jacket pocket. Dictaphone, currently recording. Garmin 66i, GPS powered down to prevent signal tracking. Water filtration bottle. Bear spray canister. I am leaving the expensive equipment. The sound devices mixer, the microphones, and the laptop will remain. Their presence suggests I am still resident in the tent. I'm arranging the sleeping bag to simulate the thermal profile of a sleeping occupant. I am placing 2 chemical hand warmers inside the bag near the torso and foot box. Under thermal imaging, this should mimic body heat for approximately 45 minutes. 0:12 a.m. Auditory anomaly detected. The 28 Hz hum has increased in amplitude. SPL meter reading 98 decibels. The vibration is now causing the fabric of the tent to shudder visibly. The clicking layer, layer B, has ceased. Hypothesis: the operators in the bunker have increased the gain on the low-frequency emitters. Tactical application: high-amplitude infrasound creates a masking effect for lower-frequency sounds such as footsteps or gear movement. It also induces physiological distress, blurred vision, nausea, in the target, reducing defensive capability. They are using the soundscape as cover for their approach. 0:15 a.m. Visual contact. I am observing the perimeter via the thermal monocular. Distance 150 yards. Bearing 350 degrees. 2 distinct heat signatures. Human, upright. Subject 1. Leading, carrying a long-barreled object. Thermal profile consistent with a carbine platform equipped with a suppressor. Subject 2. Trailing, carrying a large rectangular object. Thermal profile consistent with a breaching shield or extraction case. Movement pattern is methodical. They move 10 yards, then hold static for 30 seconds. They are scanning with their own night vision devices. They are not using flashlights. There is no vocal communication. They are utilizing the noise floor of the 28 Hz hum to mask their movement through the dry leaf litter. 0:18 a.m. The data transfer is complete. I am ejecting the LaCie drive. I am verifying the file integrity of the encrypted volume. Checksum matches. I am placing the dummy thumb drive into the laptop USB port. I am leaving the laptop screen open, displaying a frozen spectrogram of the 28 Hz tone. I am exiting the tent via the rear vestibule zipper. I have lubricated the zipper teeth with chapstick to minimize acoustic signature during operation. 0:20 a.m. I am now outside the tent. I am positioned in the shadow of a large oak tree, 20 feet south of the tent. I am prone in the leaf litter. The ground is vibrating against my chest due to the infrasound output. Nausea is acute. Visual acuity is degrading. Vibration of the eyeballs. I can see the intruders clearly now. They are 50 yards from the tent. They are wearing matte gray tactical fatigues. No agency patches. No reflective markers. Helmets are high-cut ballistic shells with quad-tube panoramic night vision goggles, GPNVG-18. This gear is restricted to Tier 1 military units or high-budget private military contractors. Subject 1 signals a hold. He raises a handheld device. A red laser grid projects onto the tent surface. He is scanning for movement inside. The hand warmers in the sleeping bag appear to be effective. He signals target acquired. 0:24 a.m. Subject 1 and Subject 2 approach the tent entrance. Subject 1 takes a position at the left of the flap, weapon raised. Subject 2 prepares a flashbang distraction device. The execution is synchronized. Subject 2 tosses the device into the vestibule. Low-yield detonation. A muffled thump and a flash of white light visible through the canvas. Subject 1 breaches the entry. Clear left. Clear right. Voice is mechanically amplified. Electronic ear protection. Target not in bed. Heat signature is a decoy. Chemical warmers. Pause. Command. This is Team 1. Nest is empty. Rabbit has bolted. Equipment is active. Data drive is present. 0:26 a.m. Subject 2 connects a device to the laptop I left behind. Analyzing drive. It's junk data. Corrupted files. She scrubbed it. Subject 1 exits the tent. He scans the perimeter. His IR illuminator sweeps over my position. I am buried under a layer of leaves. I'm holding my breath. The beam passes over me. She can't be far. The vehicle engine block was cold, but the laptop battery is warm. She's on foot. Deploy the drone. Switch to thermal wide area scan. 0:30 a.m. I hear the whine of electric motors. A small quadcopter launches from the rear of the intruder's position. It rises to an altitude of 200 feet. It will begin a grid search of the forest floor. My thermal signature will be glowing white against the cold ground. I need to move to the creek bed. The water is cold, 45 degrees. It will mask my heat signature. Distance to creek, 200 yards south. I am slowly crawling backward. I am matching my movements to the rhythm of the wind gusts. The 28 Hz hum is now a physical weapon. It is making it difficult to maintain balance, even while crawling. I must reach the water before the drone completes its first sector scan. End of log entry 007. Transcript. File V52. 10 a.m. This is the final log entry for Project Acoustic Baseline. Current location is a motel room adjacent to Interstate 81. The time is 10 hours. Ambient noise consists of highway traffic approx. 65 decibels, and the cycling of the room's HVAC unit. General Electric Zone Line, Model 4100. I am currently seated at the desk. My physical condition is stable. The lacerations on my forearms have been treated with antiseptic and butterfly closures. Core body temperature is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. There is a persistent tremor in the right hand, frequency approx. 4 Hz. I'm looking at the document provided to me 3 hours ago by the 2 individuals who intercepted me at the Greyhound bus terminal. They identified themselves as contract compliance officers for the Department of Energy. They did not display badges. They displayed a tablet containing a live video feed of my parents' residence in Austin, Texas. 10:15 a.m. I am reading the document into the record for verification purposes. The document is titled Non-Disclosure Agreement and Asset Forfeiture Settlement. Section 1, Paragraph 4. The signatory acknowledges that any data, recordings, or physical samples collected within the Allegheny Exclusion Zone, Sector 4, are classified as national security intelligence under the Patriot Act, Section 215. Possession of such materials by uncleared personnel constitutes a felony Class A. Section 2, Paragraph B. The signatory agrees to the immediate surrender of all digital storage media, including but not limited to LaCie Rugged Hard Drive, serial hash height 8421X, Olympus DS 9500, dictaphone memory card, to be surrendered upon completion of this recording, and any cloud-based backups. Section 3, Paragraph C. In exchange for full compliance, the contracting agency agrees to classify the signatory's intrusion into the secure facility as inadvertent trespass and will decline prosecution. The signatory will receive a research grant termination fee of $75,000 deposited into account redacted. I signed the document at 8:30 hours. I handed over the LaCie hard drive. I handed over the SD cards containing the 28 Hz spectral logs. They verified the checksums. They confirmed the data was unique. They returned my GPS unit and my wallet. They left the room. 10:30 a.m. I am now conducting a post-incident equipment check. I still possess the Olympus dictaphone. I am recording to the internal onboard memory, which they failed to check. However, without the raw spectral data or the photographs of the emitter trees, this recording is anecdotal evidence only. In a court of law, it is inadmissible hearsay. In the scientific community, it is unverifiable. I have failed to preserve the chain of custody. The data is lost. 10:45 a.m. I am performing a final acoustic analysis of my current environment. I have connected the handheld SPL meter to the dictaphone line-in to capture the room tone. I am activating the meter. Reading 58 decibels. Dominant frequency 120 Hz. Electrical hum from the fluorescent bathroom light. Secondary frequency 600 Hz. Tire noise from I-81. I am engaging the max hold function and lowering the frequency weighting to C weighting flat to detect low frequency energy. I am walking to the window. Reading stable. I am walking to the bathroom. Reading stable. I am walking to the wall shared with the utility closet. Reading spike detected. 11 a.m. I am placing the meter against the drywall. There is a vibration. It is faint, below the threshold of conscious perception for an untrained observer, but the meter detects it. Frequency 28 Hz. Amplitude -40 decibels. It is the same tone. It is the same synthetic purity. It is not coming from the highway. It is carrying through the building's infrastructure. I am moving the meter to the HVAC unit. Negative. I am moving the meter to the television. Negative. I am moving the meter to the smart meter digital power monitoring unit installed on the exterior wall, visible through the window. Positive. The signal strength increases as I approach the power grid interface. 11:15 a.m. Hypothesis revision. Project Resonance was not limited to the Allegheny Valley. The valley was a testing ground for signal propagation through organic density forests. The urban environment is already wired. The power grid itself acts as the carrier wave for the infrasound signal. The modulation is occurring over the AC power lines. Power line communication, every outlet, every light fixture, every appliance connected to the grid is a potential emitter for the 28 Hz tone if the carrier signal is amplified. This explains the targeted individuals' reports in the psychological literature, people claiming they hear humming in their walls or feeling watched in their own homes. They are not hallucinating. They are hearing the carrier wave of a wide area surveillance or suppression system. The system is already active. It is just running at low gain. 11:30 a.m. I am packing my personal effects. I have booked a flight to Seattle. I have identified a location in the Olympic Peninsula, the 1 square inch of silence in the Hoh rainforest. It is one of the few places in the continental United States with no electrical grid access for 20 miles. I will relocate there. I will not be conducting further acoustic research. I will not be publishing my findings on the hemlock emitters. 11:45 a.m. Final status of subject Dr. Amara Okafor. Physical condition, green. Mental condition, yellow. Hypervigilance, auditory hypersensitivity. Operational status, retired. I am holding the SD card from the dictaphone. I am removing it from the device. I am placing it in the envelope provided by the compliance officers. I will drop it in the mail slot in the lobby. This recording exists only on the internal flash memory of the recorder, which I will destroy after playback is verified. The 28 Hz tone is currently vibrating the desk surface. I can feel it in my fingertips. It is a steady pulse. It feels like a heartbeat, but it is too perfect. It never accelerates. It never slows down. It just waits. End of project acoustic baseline. signing off. The archive is now closed. Until we unseal the next file, sleep well.